from our student athletes.
Really want to tip my hat to Allison, her staff, and her team for the wonderful job she's done this year with that crew and elevated their program to new heights. I really thought they played extremely hard today. They played very well, and I know it hurts when you lose. So hats off to them. I think the difference in the game today, when it came down to it at the end, we made some big shots. We called some sets in that fourth quarter going down the stretch and got the ball to the people we needed to get the ball to, and they made plays, and that's what players do. There's a reason why we had a couple kids on all conference, and we put the ball in their hands and they go to work. And so really happy about the execution offensively in the quarter, not so much defensively, but and then we made free throws. Have to do down the stretches to the people that can put the ball in the hoop on the charity. We did that. So survive in advance, and it's a good one to shake the rust off, kind of, get your sea legs under you and move on from there. So really proud of the squad today.
We'll open the floor to questions for our student athletes.
Bob, you seem to have hit three big threes. One at the end, then I thought one to start the fourth quarter to set the tone, and then one at the end of or to start the second half, right after they came out, hit a three right away, and you guys came out with threes. I mean, what did you see, Sophie, on the three-pointer at the end?
I think it just shows that our team is just confident to take any shot. Like the coaches tell us to just get the ball in the paint, pound the paint, but people stay. Vanessa Harris, she stays ready to knock down big shots like that.
Natalie Hebron with the night basketball. What was the message at halftime, and what did you want to come out with in the second half?
These are for student athletes, right? So don't look at me. I wish I was a student athlete. I look that young, don't I, though?
Honestly, I feel coming out of the first half, we knew there were a lot of things we needed to improve on. We didn't start the way we anticipated or the way we wanted. We weren't guarding the rim the way we felt like we should. So just coming out to the second half, we just need to have more fight. We need to have more grit. We needed to remember what we were here for and that this is win or go home. So I feel like we implemented that in the second half, and especially in the fourth quarter. We came together as a team and we found a way to make big shots.
What did you see in the first half there when you had 14 points, which was 2 more than your average, including the big three right in front of the bench when you got fouled?
I just felt that, this is a big game and my teammates are expecting me to show up. So whenever I can find an opportunity to, make an impact on the floor, I can do that, whether it's offensively, which today we definitely appreciated some of that offensive, but whether it's defense, whatever the team needs me to do, depending on the game, I can do it, and I know that there are other teammates that can do the same as well. Tomorrow may be a different person, but yeah, we just, find ways to, make things happen on the floor.
Ladies, Zach Weiss, Atlantic10.com. It seemed like when Albina got unlocked in that third quarter, it opened up a lot of things too. What can you make of what she was able to do today and how it got you all going?
Albina is a very important piece to our team because she opens up the floor for us. She's tall, she has a big body, so she attracts a lot of people. And her rebounding ability as well, Bina just attracts a lot of attention. So when she's down there banging in the post, whether she's scoring or whether she just, people are looking at her, it opens up the floor for us for cuts or, to space. So yeah, I would just say like her presence is just very felt on our offensive end, even defensively, So, she's a really big piece to our program. So yeah, just having her is really special.
Sophia, on the and one, just at the end of the game to go up 7, on that possession, just talk through, is that just you going to get a bucket there when the team needed it most?
I'm not gonna lie, coach was calling a play and the girl, she was just pressuring me crazy. So I was like, I just gotta go by her and get a bucket. At that point, I had to. That's literally that.
Big player making a big play. That's all that is.
You know, taking a look at the box score, 5 players in double figures, you know, how does it help the team, especially when the goal is to play 3 games in 3 days, to have that ability for anyone to score and such a diverse set of people that can score?
I feel it helps the team in many ways because, you know, you have to always be on your toes with us. You know, whether it's, you know, today I had the high 16, but, you know, we have other players that can come in and, you know, Palmier can score 20, Sophie can score 20. We have other players that contribute. So just the fact that it's not necessarily a specific game plan that you can throw at us that we won't be able to attack. So just having so many different people that can, you know, are so versatile and can do so many different things, I feel like that's really hard to coach against and play against.
Any more questions for our student athletes? You guys are good to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll open the floor for questions for Coach Reese.
Chris Powell, Couch Coach Live. Congratulations on the win, Coach. What was your thoughts on Vanessa Harris having 12 points off the bench? Your thoughts on her performance?
Good seeing you again, Chris. It's been a minute. Vanessa's like the microwave. You remember Vinny on the Detroit Pistons? He comes in, he gets heated up real quick, loves the offensive game. That's Vanessa. It's why we brought her here. She's not shy. She's not scared of the moment. Any shot is a good shot for her. She's aggressive. And so that third quarter when she came out and just hit some huge, that big 3 for us, attacked the rim, she was huge for us. And she's done that. It's the reason she's 6th Woman of the Year in the league. It really is, because she comes off that bench and she could be a starter at a lot of other places. But the impact she has offensively for us is huge. And so, you know, she's just a high offensive player for us who is extremely aggressive and can really heat up for us when we need it, especially when we need it.
Natalie Goodwin in our basketball, I have to ask, from your perspective, what was the message at halftime?
Yeah, they were a little quiet, weren't they, huh? I think you could all get the gist of, no, it wasn't crazy. It was, listen, we're not disciplined with what we're supposed to do, especially offensively. Like we just weren't. We had some defensive hiccups, which, you know, we could correct, but offensively it was the habits, things that you must do in order to execute, the little things that make the big things happen. Rolling every time, running to the block and posting. When you have a big like that and it commands attention, it opens up everything. And some of our players they were not disciplined today in what we do, especially if you look at the stats, offensive rebounding. I was extremely upset at halftime with our ability to get to the O boards, and we were not going at all. I think Albina ended with 5, and she did a good job, but we just didn't go today, and that is not good. So there were some things we cleaned up, and I was stern with them. I said, you know, we got to get these engines rolling. You will get beat. I reminded them of when we weren't disciplined and what happens with LaSalle, and it woke them up a little bit. I think we came out, we pushed it to a 16-point lead and then let them back in it. But I think they got the message at halftime that we had to have a little bit more sense of urgency, and they did. They responded.
Daniel Frank, great time talking to see Coach. You mentioned the 16-point lead you guys had there in the fourth quarter. Loyola comes back, puts together a good run. You guys go about 6.5 without the field goal, and then you guys buckle down all of a sudden, and you just denied them. I think with 3 consecutive possessions you guys have, where you just had them on their heels. They call timeout. How pleased were you to see that response from your team, just in the flow of the game without even a timeout, where you guys were able to lock it down and say, hey, they may have scored 10, 11 in a row, but we're locking it down now?
Yeah. Hi, Daniel. First of all, good seeing you. Yeah, you know, I'm really happy with our ability to get stops at the end. That you got to get stops, and it also triggers our ability to run. You do not want them to score, lest we did some not so smart things with the fouling and the and ones when you're up 16. Like, just let the ball go through. You don't want to stop the clock. You don't want them setting up a press, and you want us to get the ball and be able to do what we do best, and that's run and flow into our offense. So we had some hiccups in the fourth quarter, which, you know, as a coaching staff, we weren't happy about. But in the end, you got to be happy at this time of year. You got to figure it out. You got to have a team that figures out how to win. Is it offensively? Is it defensively? Is it rebounding? Is it, they just do. For the most part, we've always figured out usually a way to win in that fourth quarter. And so a little bit more discipline throughout the three quarters, but in the end, again, they got the stops we needed, and then we executed and got the scores we needed. And that, again, defense leads to offense for us, and really happy of them. That's called a kill. When you get 3 stops in a row, that's a kill. Our goal is to get about 7 kills a game. We usually win the game when we do that.
Charlie Adam, good 5 cents cigar. Just in your years of experience with the A10 tournament, how has your approach to bringing the team to the tournament changed over the years?
You know, I used to be, I think, really throughout the course of the season. We practiced long. It was hard. It was a grind because I value the regular season championship. I do. I think a team that goes 18 games and you win a regular season championship, I don't think people value that anymore. It was like, you're regular season champs. Who cares? Oh, the tournament. And that's a grind. That's a true championship. You went through 18 teams to get that. And so I used to put a lot of emphasis on that. So I rode them hard, really hard. And I don't think we peaked towards the end. This year, we've cut back a lot of how we approach it, practice time, not getting a lot of reps. I can't control always the substitutions. I wanted to substitute a little bit more today. And, you know, I really couldn't. I had to get the game in hand. So, you know, it's a little bit more relaxed. You got to keep them on edge, but, you know, not so intense. Enjoy the moment. Have them prepared. But the most important thing is just have them feeling good when they go to play. They have their legs. They're not tired. They're not beat down. And so I think we did a much better job managing that this year. Going into the A10 tournament, where prior years I think I was just too hard, too long, you know, less is more sometimes. And so, you know, that's the approach we took this year, is joyous, have fun, and sometimes less is more.
What, I didn't even say anything.
You don't need a mic, I can hear you.
Okay. So, Tammy Zachweiss, Atlantic10.com. Obviously, lots mentioned about both sides of the ball, but what you've mentioned all year is the cohesiveness of this unit. How important is that cohesiveness this time of year, and how, as problem solvers, was that ability what brought you across the finish line today?
You know, chemistry and cohesiveness and your culture and the kids loving each other and playing for each other, it's the most important thing. I found that out this year with the personalities we recruited and the team we put together is, you know, like I said, fun, joyous. A game of basketball is supposed to be really, really fun. And this group keeps it light. When I can get heavy, they keep it light. And I let them keep it light. I'm, you know, a lot of times have to be the mama bear, but they trust each other, they play for each other. And so, you know, as you can see, they completely know it's anyone's night, and they're okay with that. It doesn't have to be one player, and they get 28 or 30, and we got to get them their 20 shot. It doesn't have to be that with this group. They don't mind. They just want to win. And so to see 5 in double figures, it's the way I like it. I really do as a coach, that versatility, and they enjoy it too. They clap for each other. They cheer for each other. And, you know, that's as a coach, you can't ask for anything more. You really can't. Win, lose, or draw. You know, I love coaching this team. They're just a really, really fun bunch.
Looking at the clock now, about 22 hours until the next game. What do you want to take away from this game, and how does that impact how you're preparing in the next 22 hours for the next one?
You know, coming off this game, I really wanted to just get their sea legs for them. You know, we haven't played in a while. You know, we had a very limited practice yesterday at somewhere, and it just wasn't great. The court just wasn't good. So I really wanted to get them out, just play hard, just blow it out, get that second wind. As a runner knows, when you got to blow that first wind out, you get to your second wind. And I think they needed that. And I think some of our kids needed this environment. Albina being a first-time starter, how is she going to respond? And Vanessa as a freshman. So I really I wanted to get to this game and feel good about the game. And then we do the same thing we always do. We'll get the kids off their legs, a lot of recovery. We have a great strength and conditioning coach and a great trainer. They'll take care of our girls all night long. Coaches are prepped for whatever team we're about to face. We're ready to rock and roll with film, walk through scout, and then it's 11 a.m. tomorrow. But we know our routine after every game. Just the turnaround now is recovery, hydration, nutrition, sleep. People don't put an emphasis on that, It's extremely important when you're a high-level athlete. So we really will focus on that in the next 22 hours. Good question, Allie.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Go Rhode!
Thank you, Coach.
We'll start with an opening statement from head coach Allison Guth and then open the floor to questions from our student athletes.
Just want to start off by expressing how proud we are as a coaching staff and as a team, as a unit. We're really proud of our effort and our fight against an unbelievably talented Rhode Island. We really felt like we committed to our scout. And when you only have a quick amount of turnaround to prepare, we felt like seeing them one time earlier this year. We have so much respect for what they bring to the table. We struggled a little in that first quarter, letting Gray get hot early from beyond the arc, and we made some really good adjustments. And I think if you watch this basketball game, you see Team 47, that's our team, that we leave empty. This game is hard. You wish you had a couple more ticks on the clock because of the way we were fighting in our fourth quarter fight in that game. But I want to congratulate Rhode Island on a terrific and well-played basketball game. And I just want to thank Team 47 because this has been such a joy and what they have done. Kira and Alexis sitting up here representing this university with such class, with strength up the middle, with head, heart, guts, is something they should be so proud of as well.
Open the floor to questions for our student athletes.
Thank you. Natalie Hebron from Rhode basketball. For
Yeah, that's tough putting these 4 years into words, honestly. But I think the biggest thing, or the biggest word that I can say is growth. I think, coming in with our first year, being in the A10, there was a learning curve, and we stuck it out together. But we figured it out, and I've just been blessed and honored to be surrounded by some of the best people in the world, and my teammates and in my staff. I couldn't have asked for a better 4 years. And I'm just surrounded by my sisters every day who make playing this game fun, and a lot of memories, fun memories to look back on. So I'm just very grateful and honored to be a part of it.
Hi, Nate Varda, Loyola Phoenix. This team never gave up today, but despite facing a 10-2 deficit to start the game and being down to 16 early in the fourth, what was Coach Booth's message that kept you guys in it throughout the tough stretches of the game today?
I think one thing that she preaches to us is head, heart, guts. I think it was about us just staying level-headed and having the tenacity that we had to know that we can overcome anything, and that's kind of just been how our season's been. We've always been the underdogs. We just believe in each other, and yeah.
To both of you, Zach Weiss, Atlantic10.com. Alexis, just how important was it to get it done in the post, and Kira, when you saw what they were doing in that post, how much did that inspire you to find that one more, find your next?
Honestly, my teammates inspire me every day. I think on the court with how hard we go, we always say this thing called TNT. So it's things you don't have to control.
Things, no talent.
No talent.
No talent.
Things
Takes
takes no
talent.
talent.
Takes no talent.
I don't even know what it stands for.
She does. She's just emotional.
Takes no talent, and we pride ourselves on doing those things consistently for 40 minutes. So when I see my teammates going to war, I'm going to war with them and for them. So it makes it really easy when I have people around me who are willing to sacrifice themselves for the same end goal.
Any more questions for our student athletes?
Looking back on your team since the summer and November, how have you seen your team grow, and what are you most proud of in terms of that growth?
This team, in the summertime when I first got here, I went to Coach Jay's office and I was like, we're going to win a championship. I was like, I see us being top in the A10. From the beginning, I think our mentality has grown so much. We've always had the grit to get it done, and I think that's just grown. Our mentality's just grown. Our efforts just grown. Like Kira said, I think a word to describe this team has been growth, and we've been on the right path. We just came up a little bit short.
This question goes out to both of you guys. Obviously, today was your last game playing for Loyola. What's one thing you'll miss most, both about playing for the university?
We may have postseason still ahead of us, so maybe give us an 8. No.
But still looking ahead, what's one thing you'll miss most about playing for this university?
I'm going to say just my teammates and the staff. This staff they believed in me so much. They've taken a chance on me. They brought me in, they treated me like their own. My teammates, they're my sisters. I've never been a part of a team where I felt everyone believe in me, and I've been inspired by every single human that has talked to me. I love these girls, and I love these women, I love the staff. I'm just gonna miss the staff and my teammates.
I think a huge thing for me is the support. I think from top to bottom, where we have Holly, one of our ADs, and who really believes in this program, and back to our staff, through our players, through our professors. I've just been so honored to be at this university, and there's so many resources for us, and everyone's supporting us, and we even do this thing where we have an honorary coach. So we select someone from the university, no matter who they are, and they get to come be with us for a day. So I think it's the little things like that, and their willingness to come support women's basketball. And I think we've done a lot for the numbers, and we've seen growth in our support and who comes to our games. And I think this year was definitely a huge year, taking a step in the right direction, for sure. Yeah.
If we have no more questions for our student athletes, you guys are good to go.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
Love you.
We'll open the floor to questions for head coach Allison Guth.
Now that we have the night basketball, you asked our preseason when I talked to you, you wanted the review to be better than the preview. How do you think your team accomplished that this season?
You can go by the numbers and say we were preseason ranked, 13th and get to 8th and then get the first round bye, and you can say all those things and you look at it and you say the review is clearly better than the preview. I think from a coaching standpoint, you're always going to be feeling like in some way you want more for a team. I will say in this game versus Rhode Island and stepping away, we couldn't have put a better effort together for 40 minutes on the floor. There are stretches in the game where we had undisciplined possessions and plays, but I'm so proud of the fight here because if you're looking at Rhode Island as one of our representatives of the A10 as co-champs, and you're looking at Loyola Chicago and how we're battling, and it's not just battling, we have moments where we can be really effective and be in positions to win this game. That's the thing I think I'm looking at the preview and the review of the pride there. I think we faced a lot of adversity this year, and we faced it with toughness, whether that be injuries. We never had mobs until we got to the A10 tournament, so our non-con was streaky with some injuries of our players, and I just thought this team stuck together, and each woman whose name was called was ready to be prepared when her name was called. But if I'm answering it totally honestly, I think I sit here today and I'm always going to feel like, we want more. We want to be here tomorrow, and we want to be playing. And so I just hope we have the chance to battle in postseason, because if I think you're watching this game, you have a really, really talented ball club that you would draw a lot of attention to any of your tournaments with for us to be playing.
Despite the loss today, Coach, it felt like this was one of the most complete games this team's played this year. I mean, being outsized in the paint and only losing the rebounding battle by 1 and only committing 7 turnovers in the whole game.
Yes.
How do you feel about how the team played together?
That's, Nate, why I'm so grateful. I'm sitting here going, we knew we had to limit those turnovers. It was essential to the success. We talked about battling on the boards, and when you talk about only a 35-34 discrepancy with a team who's unreal on the boards, I think that just shows our commitment, our discipline to what the game plan was, and it proved a lot to us there on how we could rebound the basketball. We've been struggling with that this year, so both of those areas were huge. And if you watch the game, I mean, you've got both teams with 9 assists. You got Loyola scoring more points in the paint than Rhode Island, 38-30. The difference is we send them to the free throw line and they get 24 free throws. So you're looking at stats, like you said, with some, I was proud. I thought we played different. We knew we were a little undersized with our first lineup, and so I think the minutes that Roisin Granberry and Clara Joko played were huge with size and altering shots on the backside were really important. And so for that, I'm really pleased. I think we sat here yesterday and I told you we're going to have to make some shots to be in a good place, and we had 9 threes yesterday to the 2 threes that we had today. That's a big difference. You got to make shots. But I couldn't be more pleased with the committed scout execution, for sure.
Allison Zagwise, Atlantic10.com. We had the discussion a few years ago about Sam and how she left the program better than she found.
Oh, yeah.
we have the same copy-paste discussion now about Kira, just how special of an individual, that heart, that want-to, that desire, that you just felt and loved on for all these years.
Man, grit and grace personified is that kid. And Alexis Mobley, what she's speaking about is like from her heart about what this place has meant to her. We just came from a locker room, which I think you guys, if you were in there, there's only certain special seasons when you walk away where every woman can sit and talk about Team 47 and particularly how much they respect and love one another and what they're going to be missing just about this season, why they want to battle in the postseason with each other. You cannot, we said it with Sam Gallinopoulos. She was a floor general and a leader that just took this program on her back, and we listened to her with that. I think that Kira's legacy, there's not many people, and why I loved the matchup with Rhode Island is because Soph does not see a lot of defenders like her. And when we get up in her chili and we're able to turn her twice and do some things, like Kira has been the most reliable player we've had this season in terms of what we're going to get. We know defensively she's going to lock down. We know she's not going to turn it over. She's going to assist us and run us at the point. And so that's a big position, to fill. But I think it's been her buy-in culturally to strength up the middle, her head, heart, guts. I think it's her buy-in to our staff and to our teammates, and that nobody is bigger than the program. And I think that in this day and age where college basketball is getting transactional in a lot of ways, when people can put we above me and you can celebrate team and success, I don't think you watch a game where you see a bench that is like Loyola Chicago today, fighting for the woman in front of her and being supportive and literally like doing what great waiters do, like they serve when they're waiting for their turn. And so to me, I just think the culture of this thing is so awesome. And to me, we've leveled up the basketball besides the quality of team effort. And that's the legacy that Kira leaves behind. Alexis got to pour into it for a year with the basketball side of things. But I think if you know Alexis Mobley, her deep compassion, empathy, and care for her teammates and what she's willing to give, like you felt her taking over the game with that middle third ball screen and her getting downhill and wanting to get to the rim. She's going to lay it on the floor for you, but because she cares. But she's not going to do that if she doesn't trust you. And so I'm so proud of what these people poured in, and I hope we get to battle another day with them.
We'll take one more question.
You already talked about it a little bit today, but obviously this team, it's fair to say, exceeded expectations of the A10 after being projected to finish 13th. How do you use this year as a stepping stone to continually improve in the A10?
I think we just talked about it in the locker room. If you're looking at a couple plays and possessions of this game that can go another direction, and you're playing that way against the champs, like the number one seed and who's won it outright with George Mason, I think we've proven that we belong. And that's important to us. And that's what Kira was talking about, the rival to the league and where we're at. But I think real winners are never satisfied, and I think if you look at our season, you have to win the games you're supposed to, and we did not do that in our non-con. We could be better there, and you got to find ways where there's adversity to fight through some of the stretches, and to me, this is a great thing to finish on where you leave empty, executing a scout, rebounding better, valuing the possession, putting yourself in a chance to win it. That's a proof of what you have moving forward. I also think it's not being satisfied, and you never want to leave here where you don't get to say see you tomorrow and like survive in advance. And so I think this is a great example for our women of where we were. But again, when we say exceeded expectations, you heard what Mob said in the summer. I think our expectations were higher than other people's expectations of us. And I think that's important that we recognize that ourselves so that we hold ourselves to the standard that we hold ourselves, which is we want to be here another day.